It has been quite a patriotic week in Arlington and beyond. From the local Veterans Day celebration to the national elections, we'll cover it all. As Massachusetts braces for the winter, COVID-19 cases rise, and Arlington businesses have to adjust to the change in season and the new government-imposed restrictions. All that up next on ACMi News.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Hello, Arlington, and welcome to ACMi News. I'm Isabella Turst. As Massachusetts COVID-19 infections rise, Governor Baker responds with new safety measures. ACMi's Aneem Osmani went out to see how Arlington businesses and residents would be affected.
As of Friday, November 6th, a statewide stay-at-home advisory has been issued to help curb the spread of COVID-19. This comes at a time when public health data shows that infection rates increased by 275% and hospitalization rates by 145% since Labor Day.
First, the Department of Public Health will once again issue a stay-at-home advisory. This time, the advisory will be in effect from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Residents should stay home between these hours, with exceptions like going to work or to the grocery store. I've also signed an executive order that will require indoor recreation facilities, theaters, casinos, and virtually anything else that's open that's an entertainment venue to close at 9:30. It will also require restaurants to stop providing table service at 9:30, but they can continue to provide carryout. It will also shut down liquor sales at restaurants and at grocery stores and package stores and convenience stores at 9:30 p.m.
A total of 16 business sectors, facilities, and types of activities must close between 9:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. Specified businesses are required to close at the given time to ensure that residents are home by 10 p.m. in compliance with the stay-at-home advisory. Billy Lyons, managing partner of Monotony Grill and Tavern, had this reaction to the announcement and how it will affect his late-night eatery business.
Nothing shocks me at this point, but it was disappointing, and it will affect our business because we do the bulk of our business nowadays in the COVID world on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So to not be able to serve people after 9:30 will certainly hurt us.
Gatherings held in public spaces and event venues are also required to end by 9:30 p.m. Additionally, under the new changes, indoor gatherings at private residences may not exceed 10 people. Outdoor gatherings are limited to 25. The new order also requires organizers of gatherings to report any COVID-19 cases to the local health department in that community and cooperate with contact tracing. I asked some Arlingtonians about how they feel about the changes.
I think evening curfew is a common sense measure to help prevent the spread of COVID. I'd much rather see bars and nightclubs closed and schools open. I'd like to see the town and state doing more to make sure that students can pursue their educations in an environment that allows for learning, not from home and not using computers that sometimes work and sometimes don't. So to me, as part of a broader picture, certainly closing down on places where there's a spread in the evening makes sense, and I'd like to see more opening in classrooms.
I think it's unfortunate. It's certainly impacting business, but we also are faced with something in the coronavirus that we don't know how to deal with it. It's so many unknowns that I think he feels he's acting on the best interest of the citizens of the Commonwealth. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't have a better answer.
Governor Baker also issued a face covering order requiring all residents over the age of 5 to wear a face covering in all public spaces regardless of social distance. For more information, visit mass.gov to learn more about the state's efforts in fighting the spread of the coronavirus. For ACMi News, I'm Aneem Osmani.
Thank you for your report, Aneem. The weather has been remarkably warm for this time of year, but restaurants are preparing for the colder weather as we head toward winter. News correspondent In Young Kim spoke with Twirl Pasta about how they're adjusting to the change in season.
The first snow of the year already came to Arlington, and the outdoor dining season has come to an end. Local food businesses have struggled during COVID-19 But having outdoor dining kept them in business during the summer. Now as it gets cold, how are Arlington's restaurants preparing for the coming challenges? Tour Pasta is one of the eateries that managed to survive during COVID-19. The restaurant did not only make use of its outdoor dining space during this summer, but also initiated a special service called Tour Pasta at Home. Chris Furlong, the co-owner of the restaurant, is here with us.
We just closed the patio for the winter. We were not planning on doing any indoor dining this winter at all because we're extremely sensitive and cautious when it comes to COVID. So our plan for the winter is to do traditional takeout meals only, in addition to the Twirl at Home meal kit service that we offer.
Tour at Home is a meal kit service in which the restaurant delivers uncooked pasta, cold sauces, and toppings with an online order.
When COVID took hold, we closed down our dining room like most restaurants, all restaurants in Massachusetts. At that time, we had launched a product and service that we call Twirl at Home, and that was a big part of how we survived COVID. At that point, we were donating meals to senior citizens, housebound senior citizens who were most affected by COVID-19.
Tour Pasta came up with this idea when customers requested its pasta sauces so that they could prepare them at home. The restaurant is also offering customers the opportunity to place an order online and get their meal delivered to their door.
The only thing that you have to do is you just boil the water and heat the sauces, and in less than 10 minutes, you have a Twirl restaurant quality meal.
The restaurant will not open for indoor dining because they want to remain very cautious. And they won't operate any outdoor dining during the winter either because of the effect that might have on the quality of their food.
All of our pasta, sauces, toppings, everything is made fresh daily. It would not reflect the amount of care and attention that we put into our product.
Lastly, the owner has a message for Arlington residents who have been very supportive.
I would like to thank the citizens of Arlington for their support over the last 3 years that we've been open. It's been amazing. The response has been overwhelming in so many ways, and we feel really fortunate to be in this community.
Many restaurants will face great challenges, but they will also find their own ways to survive during the winter. For ACMi News, I'm Young Kim.
In celebration of Veterans Day this past Wednesday, the town held a virtual ceremony with assistance from ACMi. ACMi's Maxim Isaac tells us more about the remote commemoration.
Veterans Day is a time for Americans to pay tribute to those men and women who have served and are still serving in the military. Usually here in Arlington, there will be a parade ending up at the Central Fire Station in Arlington Center. But because of the pandemic, the event transformed into a virtual ceremony. The ceremony starts off with some members from the fire and police departments presenting the nation's colors at the Arlington Reservoir while the national anthem plays. After the salute, an Arlington Fire Department representative will ring the bell 11 times.
This time-honored tradition dates back to Armistice Day, World War I, marking the official end of World War I that took place on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. Following World War II, the name of this day was officially changed to Veterans Day to honor our past and present veterans. Representative Sean Garberly believes that homeless veterans and those who deal with mental health issues should be better taken care of in our society.
They deserve respect and they deserve support. And that's what this day is all about. that we remember their sacrifices, but that we come together as a society and say, no more homeless veterans, no more veterans living with mental health needs that don't get serviced. And that's why we're here today. Even amidst a global pandemic, it is absolutely critical to come together, to say thank you, and to always remember our veterans and their families' sacrifice.
Select Board Chair John Hurd salutes the departments in Arlington that have employed the most veterans, the police and fire departments.
Particularly today, I'd like to recognize two groups in Arlington that employ a large number of veterans, the Arlington Fire Department and the Arlington Police Department. These two organizations are filled with men and women who chose to serve their country abroad and then came home and decided to continue their service locally in their fire department and the police department.
Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine is the last to speak and points out that as Americans, we need to balance caring for ourselves with caring for others. As well, he urges us to remember all the veterans, their sacrifices, and their service.
That as Americans, we can't leave anyone behind. That we need to both care about ourselves, but be selfless and care about others. And I think as we all work every day to strive to create a more perfect union, the service and sacrifice of our veterans are the perfect example for us to aspire to. Take some time to pause and reflect about the service and sacrifice of our veterans here in Arlington, as well as across this great nation.
Jeff Chunlow, the Director of Veteran Services, wants to remind you that even though as a nation we celebrate Veterans Day once a year, during the other 364 days we should honor the words inscribed on the medals awarded to thousands of veterans in World War I. The inscription reads, "A grateful nation remembers." And if you want to watch the entire ceremony, you can find it on our Facebook and YouTube channels. For ACMi News, I'm Maxim Isaac.
Thank you, Maxim. On Saturday, former Vice President and now President-elect Joe Biden gave an acceptance speech as the projected winner of the presidential election. I asked town residents to share their thoughts and reactions to the election and its aftermath. Here are some of their responses.
I'm so pumped! We definitely needed a change out of Washington. It's amazing to me that the world is so split in its approach to honesty, decency, and a path for good living in America. So I'm very excited to see a new leadership, and happy that 75 million Americans agree with me.
I'm just really happy with the outcome because I felt like Joe Biden was the right man for the job, and I feel like Trump was unfit to be president.
I'm very relieved that we got this racist, misogynist, venal person out of the office of president.
At first I was frightened it wasn't going to turn the corner, and then it did. And since then I felt such a relief that our country is okay again. That's what it feels like. We're okay again.
I'm very disappointed in it. I thought Trump was, I thought he had it. I wasn't a big fan of the mail-in votes. I thought that was all Democrats right there. I think Trump would have won easily if it wasn't for that there. They say it's not over yet, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, right now we're still on hold, but no, I'm happy about it. I just hope everything, we find out everything's good and Joe Biden is ready to do what he needs to do.
Great to have a new administration in the White House and to have someone who takes the COVID pandemic seriously. For myself, having family members and relatives personally affected by it, it means a lot. And I think there's a lot of work to be done, but we're on the right track.
Woohoo was what came first to mind. See, like that. Very thankful, and I'm thankful for the talks of healing and peace and the soul of our nation.
And we have one more perspective on the election to share with you. In his weekly conversation with ACMi's James Milan, Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine focused primarily on what he sees as a bright spot in all the current messiness.
Aside from the very disappointing, to be polite, rhetoric that has been happening since the election, I think the positive that came out of this election is we saw across the country some elected and appointed officials doing their job, right? The secretaries of state and the election commissioners and the elections officers and the poll workers across the board have done a wonderful job implementing the laws of their individual state, right? Every state has a different way they are allowed for ballots to be mailed in and counted and so on and so forth. But we saw people in the face of tremendous, often false political criticism doing their job and doing it very well. And I think that's a good reminder that all across this country, we have people at different levels of government that don't get the headlines, don't get the spotlight, doing their job on a day in and day out basis. And that's what makes government run in many ways. And I think that's a positive to highlight. The negative is, unfortunately, the work of those people is being called into question without any evidence. And it's upsetting as someone that, professionally, very supportive of the people that work for the town. Not that Arlington's being criticized in that way, but putting myself in the shoes of some of these, other officials who have their staffs and themselves are being criticized totally unfairly and without evidence is upsetting. I remain confident that, let's say the law and order or sort of law in general will prevail, and that the outcome of the election as we know it today will be recognized, and we will have a peaceful transition of power. But unfortunately, it does feel like there's more to play out over the upcoming weeks to make sure that outcome that we would all expect is what actually happens.
There's a lot going on in the midst of the fall season. We have all your Arlington High School action right here. Let's turn it over to our Studio B crew for the latest scoop in Ponderscope.
Welcome to the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. AHS social worker Andrea Razzi is working with a team of students and staff to plan Wellness Day programming, both in-person and remote, for December 2nd. Any students who are interested in being part of the planning team can email Andrea at arazzi@arlington.k12.ma.us. Senior pictures will be December 9th through the 11th. This is the last chance to have them taken at the school by Prestige. If you need a code, please let Dr. Janger know. Get out and buy your yearbook. The price will increase after winter break. If you want a yearbook, you must order one ahead of time using the link you should have received in Dr. Janger's email. This year, each senior will be given 1/4 of a page. You can include up to 4 pictures and a quote. Dr. Janger will have sent an email out with more details on Thursday, November 12th, so go check that out if you have any questions. The Arlington High School Drama Guild will be holding more auditions. Guest director and Arlington High School alum Aaron Aptaker will guide a company of theater creators to write and perform a piece. Auditions will be Monday, November 23rd and Tuesday, November 24th. Performances will be in March. Reach out to M. Byrne, that is BYRNE, at arlington.k12.ma.us. I'm Chandler Betts, and this has been the Ponderscope. Now throwing it over to Nick for the sports update. Nick?
How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to yet another edition of the ACMi Sports Update. Let's kick it off with the girls varsity soccer squad, who were on the road last week against Belmont, where they tied 1-1. Then they came back home on Veterans Day to get a huge win against the Marauders by a score of 2-0.
Go by Sophia Neal.
The boys also faced off against Belmont this week, beating them at home by a score of 3-0, and then again on the road for Belmont Soccer Night 4-0.
It went right into the ball. There's a giveaway.
Jan Pilja keeps it
with a shot. Scores! Jan Pilja made him pay as a costly giveaway in the defensive end, and Yanni Pilja blasted that one.
Field hockey also got a big win against Belmont this week on Saturday, winning by a score of 3-0. Then they went on to play a solid game on Veterans Day, tying the Marauders 2-2. Boys cross country also got a big win this past week, beating Belmont by a score of 20-38. With Veterans Day behind us, we now look in the final stretch of the fall season. Let's check out next week's matchups as all of our Spy Ponders push for the division title. Boys soccer heads to Reading on Saturday for a big game at 10 a.m., while the girls are at home versus Reading at 9 a.m. Girls and boys cross country wrap up their season this Saturday at Reading, with both matchups at 9 a.m. That's all we got for you this week. Make sure to check back next week to see how our Spy Ponders fare before the close of the fall season. From ACMi Sports, my name is Nick Antonakis.
Thank you guys. Both Ponderscope and ACMi Sports Updates are created at home by student producers. We'd like to thank you for your dedication. And due to technical difficulties this week, Sydney's Media Moment will be premiering on our website this weekend, where our host will be answering the question, should you get Netflix? That's all for this week, Arlington. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you can find more great content online at acmi.tv. You can also follow us on all our social media channels at ACMi News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For ACMi News, I'm Isabel Litterst. We'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.